Okay.
Minor technical difficulty. I hit the wrong button.
All right. From deep inside the piney woods of Northeast Texas, you are listening to Talk of the Night. And now, your host, Paranormal Phil. Thank you, and good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the world, around the globe, even in your own backyard. I am Paranormal Phil. Sorry for the late start. We had some technical difficulties with getting things started for tonight's show. Did you switch cameras? Is it? It's not showing me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so sorry about that. So tonight we're going to be talking about lithomancy, the art of reading stones, with my guest Gary Wimmer. We got his book right here, if you can see this. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some other things. So please welcome my guest Gary to the show.
Good evening, and thanks for having me. Pleasure to be with you guys, man.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. So give the listeners a little, viewers. I'm used to just saying listeners. Give the listeners, viewers, a little information about you and what you do.
Well, I was raised Catholic. I was the third of seven sons. I was always interested in God and the truth and so forth. In college, I started reading a lot of Edgar Casey. Very curious about spirituality.
Mhm.
In 1977, I had a near-death experience. I wrote a book about it, A Second in Eternity. I went through it in a nutshell. I went through a week of escalating psychic ability just out of the clear blue. Didn't understand why it was all of a sudden happening, but I couldn't turn it off. It got more and more intense every day. And I felt these monitors, guardian angels watching me. I was going through all these sort of premonitions about things and freaking myself out and my friends because everything I was seeing would happen in 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't turn this off.
Yeah,
After
I know
a
all
week,
about that because I've had this ability. I've had the same ability since I was very little, 5 years old. Able to see spirits when I was 5 years old. So it's been with me all my life.
well, people are we came from infinite mind. We all have psychic ability and power, but just like I mean, you got two arms. If you want to learn to play the piano, you could, but you'd still have to practice.
See
You have
spirits
to
when
make
I
the
was five
decision
years
to
old.
practice, to grow,
So
to
it's been
evolve,
with
to
me all
learn.
my life.
And I was always real curious.
Well, people are
Hold
Extremely
on.
curious.
I'm sorry, Gary. Hold on. We're having some
Uh,
technical
well, in
issues again.
19, in 1977, when I had this experience, I went through a week of escalating psychic ability. And the end of that week, I was hit by a speeding car. I went to Infinite Mind and back, came back, didn't even get a scratch, didn't even feel it. Cops, ambulance, police. I tried to explain what I'd been through, but nobody believed me. Of course, I wouldn't believe me either. Long story short, I ended up going to jail and then the emergency room and then to a psychiatric hospital because they didn't know what to do with me. And that was 77. In 1980, I met a very gifted lady, very gifted psychic, and we became very close friends the rest of our lives. And she did a reading for me by this method, lithomancy. I'd never seen it before. I started getting readings in the early 70s, but mostly with a regular deck of playing cards. Real simple, real easy.
Yeah.
Uh, and when I saw this, I thought, wow, that's neat. All you have to do is know what these stones mean and
Yeah.
be able to read the pattern. you
Well,
know.
I've never heard of lithomancy until you mentioned it. I knew of tarot card readings. I knew playing card reading. I knew all that
Mhm.
other stuff. Just never heard of lithomancy before today or before you contacted the show.
Me neither. And I had studied a lot of psychic ability since the early 70s, actually the late 60s in college. But I'd never seen this, and it isn't very well known. But after she did a reading for me, I was very fascinated. And she said, "Well, I'm having a class in 2 weeks." Okay. I signed up for the class, showed up, and then 2 weeks later, we had the class. It was pouring rain, very heavy. I was the only person that showed up, her and I.
Hmm.
And so she did a quick reading for me and a quick reading for herself. And we got in our car and we drove home because it was raining so heavy. Next day, I got 16 stones, as I describe in this book, Lithomancy, the Psychic Art of Reading Stones. I got 16 stones and put a little piece of tape on them and marked them Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter,
Hmm.
whatever. And every time someone would come over my house, I'd give them a reading. So I started practicing the following day and only had 15 minutes of education from her. That's what I like about this and a lot of intuitive things
Hmm.
is they'll teach you how to read. They'll talk to you. You know,
Hmm.
these stones talk to me. They tell me things. And the lady who taught me this, she passed away about 10 years ago, and I asked her during her lifetime to be my guide. And she is now. She talks to me all the time, and that helps me do better readings. But I got into it because she gave me a reading. I like the uniqueness of the art. I'd never seen it. I like the fact that I didn't have to read 100 books. All I got to do is kind of look at it and let the pattern
Hmm.
talk to me. And I encourage other people to think outside the box like that because life is always talking to us in symbolism.
Yeah.
Always.
So you mentioned about the near-death experience. Um, is that when you first noticed your psychic abilities?
No, I actually started noticing them as a kid. I didn't think of in terms of psychic ability, but as the third of seven sons, I had two older brothers, a year older than me and 2 years older, and four younger. And my two older brothers fought their whole lives. And so I was always watching this confrontation and staying out of their way and staying out of being in their ball games and so I developed a sense of intuition, very lucky, very young, about
Hmm.
I ain't going to get in this. I can see this is about to happen. And 15 seconds later, it would. You know?
Yeah.
uh,
It's
so
it's a lot of people think psychic ability is just hoo ha and stuff like that, or people believe in it. It just depends on their belief. But I've always told my listeners in the past when I did the show before is I coined the term the Santa Claus effect for psychic ability, and that is when we're young, we're told Santa Claus is real, but as we grow older, we're told that he's not real. And the same thing goes with the abilities to see spirits, see different events, depending on the level of abilities that you have. And when we're young, our minds are not corrupted by the everyday world, but when as we get older, we're told that it's not real, it's just your imagination, and that ability gets pushed from here to the back of our subconscious. It's still there, but a lot of people just don't know how to unlock it. And sometimes it takes a traumatic thing like your accident to kind of revive it a little bit sometimes.
boy, did it revive it. It set off a rocket booster under me. And I realized then in 1977, I was 29, and I saw so many things in the future. I saw 9/11 and COVID-19. I saw these wars. I saw these escalating economic cycles up and down. I saw so much stuff in advance. And then I was in Europe in 2001 playing on a cruise ship as a musician.
Mhm.
And this guy from Sweden, is about 4 in the afternoon, said, "Hey, man, I think y'all got hit by a terrorist attack." I ran down to the crew room, looked in the TV, and sure enough, that second plane went through right then.
Wow.
And I looked around, saw all these people, the crew, all in these blue uniforms. I realized I saw that picture in 1977 when I came back in my body. I saw me watching the TV, and a plane went through, and a bunch of blue people in blue outfits around me. I couldn't put it in any context until that very second.
Yeah.
And at that second, I went, wow, I saw this exact scene 24 years before it happened.
And see,
You
that's
know?
one thing that's one ability that I do not have is like the premonition, remote view. Well, not remote viewing, but it kind of is remote viewing. But uh, as far as seeing future events, I do not have that ability. I can see and communicate with spirits. I can do remote viewings. Although I kind of just pushed all that stuff to the back because I got so many other things to worry about. I don't have time to worry about the spirits, what they're saying, unless it's urgent. But, anyways, let's get into lithomancy real quick. For those that I think you mentioned about what lithomancy was, but can you give the viewers, listeners, a little information on what lithomancy is for anybody that might want to know what it is?
Well, litho means stone. Mancy means divination by.
Mhm.
So it means divination by stones, literally. And in the system, I use 16 stones. 10 of them represent planets, like astrology: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And the other 6 are personal stones: love, life, luck, commitment, timing, and place. And I do readings over the phone. I used to do them in person, but I'm disabled. It's hard to get around, and it's easier over the phone, you know. And
Mhm.
when I charge these stones up when I'm talking to someone, and I have them say drop, and when they say drop, I drop them into a circle of leather that defines the actually it defines time and the environment. And I look at it like a clock. I start reading from the center here to 12 o'clock to one, two, three, four, all the way around, and look at the stones and how they touch and what they mean. And I let my intuition and my guides kind of help me
Yeah.
interpret the pattern. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
and it,
basically like with tarot cards, there's different. There's the major arcane and minor
mhm.
arcane. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but uh, and it sounds like that's the same way with the stones. There's two different sets of stones, and then of course there is a clock pattern for tarot readings, um, because I've done that before too as well. But it sounds like it's almost kind of the same way when you do the readings of the stones.
Well, it's reading symbolism, because whether you're reading tea leaves or astrology chart or tarot cards or someone's palm, what you're doing is you're looking at something and you're allowing yourself to be able to look what it means, what it signifies. I don't believe there's any accidents or coincidence. I think everything
Mm-hmm.
in life is a manifestation of some form of cause and effect, including how your prints are and when you were born. There ain't no accidents. And so a lot of different psychics can tune into the essence of your soul and your spirit from a lot of different angles with a lot of different techniques. In fact, when I lived in Europe from 93 to 2000, actually
Mm-hmm.
2001, uh, in Copenhagen, I gave readings a lot. And sometimes people asked me to do a reading and I wouldn't have my stones with me. So I'd bring them up to my little apartment
Mm-hmm.
and I'd have them just arrange stuff on a table: an earring, a cup of tea, a spoon, a coin, a trinket, a burnt
Mm-hmm.
cigarette, a guitar string, whatever. And I'd go in and make some tea and meditate for a minute and come back and look at this stuff on the table, and I could give a reading with that.
Okay, so it's kind of like how their aura puts off their arrangement of the stuff that they're sitting down.
Right, because there isn't any accident. They put that there. I didn't. Now, what it means if I'm looking at an ashtray and a six of spades next to it, I wouldn't actually know until, well, I know what the six of spades represents, a
Mm,
commitment to growth, power, responsibility. Uh, but you can read anything, and I learned to do that before I even knew thought about it this way. I learned to do it back in 1977 when I went through a week and a half of escalating psychic ability. I could read anything
mhm.
all the time. What I couldn't do is turn it off.
Yeah,
After that experience, I learned to
that
turn it
takes
on.
a while to learn how to do. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, it took me a while to come down from that 1977 trip to Infinite Mind. And I wanted to mention one thing. This is
Sure.
interesting. In my trip to Infinite Mind and back, which only took 2 or 3 seconds of Earth time, between the time I was hit from the car and rolled over it and thrown out in the street, and people came up and started screaming, and the driver hovered over me. That's what happened on Earth. But as soon as
Mm,
I hit the car, I was outside my body watching it tumble over the car, and I was expanding like a balloon in all directions.
oh,
And I instantly realized that's how souls leave the body. They don't leave like an arrow, they expand in all directions.
mhm,
Conversely, at birth, our soul contracts in from every direction right down to the mother at birth. It was so clear and obvious. Number two, when I got to Infinite Mind, I went through a tunnel of light and saw all these kind of visions that I can talk about for hours.
yeah,
But when I went into Infinite Mind, it was the most mind-boggling two things I recognized is one, there was two possibilities. Either totally unlimited, unbiased, infinite mind exists, which it does, and there's all possibilities, or it wouldn't exist and nothing would exist. There's no in between.
yeah.
There's
Well,
no
I
in
had
between.
a friend that had an out of or not an out of body experience, but a near death experience where he, of course, he's passed away several years ago, but he had epilepsy, and he died. And he mentioned to me when he got out of the hospital and everything that he was standing over his body watching the paramedics
Mhm.
work on his body, but he mentioned like a tether almost to his body because it was almost like it was he wasn't ready to go wherever we end up going.
That's a good description, a tether, kind of like a string that keeps you connected, you
And,
know.
I learned about that when I started researching out of body experiences and near death experiences. I'm pretty sure I've had a few myself. I just don't remember them. um,
Well, the other thing that fascinated me first was infinite mind, nothing to no bias, completely unbiased. Humans are biased, not infinite mind. Number two, uh, we are connected to it. We can tap into it. We all came from there.
mhm,
Everything in this universe, every atom, molecule, thought is a manifestation of infinite mind and infinite creativity. Now, as individuals, we have free will and we
mhm,
can try to understand this and grow and learn, or we cannot. Choice. Free
mhm,
will is the most powerful gift humans have because no matter what our situation is, and we often can't change our situation, we can always change our perception, our attitudes, our intentions, the way we look at the situation.
mhm.
And that's the most powerful gift we have in life is that gift of free will. We can change the way we look at anything.
Now, I want to ask when you had that near death experience, and I know a lot of people, different religions, believe in different places like heaven, hell, for Christians, for Wiccans, like myself. We believe in a higher plane of existence, lower plane of existence. I see it as kind of the same thing as it's all one thing, just different ways of explaining it.
Hmm.
And can you tell us what you pretty much kind of think about something like that and what you might have saw during that near-death experience?
Well, I was amazed at infinite mind, but not only that, I was amazed at, well, you look at this planet. There's
Mhm.
everything from single cell organisms to, dogs and cats and monkeys and gorillas and you and me and snail. There's all every level of life that can exist so far has existed, and we may make some
Mhm.
more. The same thing on the other side. There's so many levels of consciousness. Now it's certainly not physical, and it's not quite as distinguishable as physical life because no two things can be in the same place at once. But over there, there's no time and space, so it's one big jello, but it's got all these levels. Some people, when they pass over, they go to one level. They see mama or
Mhm.
granddaddy. Some people go to another. Some people may see their fears. But most people who've had near death experiences, and I've studied them, and I talk at conventions, and I've, know a lot of these people, interviewed them.
Mhm.
Most of them, 99%, I'd venture to say one thing: they feel infinite love. That's one of the most common things, infinite love. And that's truly, when I saw infinite mind, at its core, at its heartbeat, at its bare essence, was infinite love. Now, how infinite love manifests into time and space and infinite creativity is completely beyond the laws of physics. We ain't going to figure it out.
Yeah,
But that's
that's
how it
something
works.
that we ain't gonna probably get the answer to.
There's too much. I mean, we can barely, we don't know 75% of our own universe, dark matter and dark
we
energy.
we we haven't even explored our whole ocean yet either.
No, and that's the next big thing with the age of Aquarius. We will be in the ocean more and more and more, and in space. And we're entering the age of Aquarius. That's why this whole world is going through these extremes.
Mhm.
It's a big, messy transition from the age of Pisces to Aquarius. We're right in the middle of that 100-year, 200-year transition. You
Yeah,
know,
it's like a Mercury retrograde. It's chaos basically.
but I think the universe is showing you and me and everybody on the planet the issues, the holes in the boat, the flaws, what needs to be addressed, so we can get busy and fix the holes in the boat, fix the
Oh yeah,
problems.
I mean it's showing more and more that we're getting more answers to things that sometimes some people want to keep hidden. I'll leave
Mm-hmm.
it at that because I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I notice more and more things coming to the open. People are opening their minds, seeing different things.
Oh, absolutely. This world right now is going through the biggest change that we will ever see in our lifetimes, and it's affecting everybody.
Mhm.
We're all being encouraged to, you know, think outside the box, do what we can to make it a better world. It's not like 300 years ago when we just worried about the cows and the kids. You
Mhm.
know, no, we're all multitasking just to stay sane, but
Oh
that helps
yeah,
us grow.
that's what I've been doing, especially trying to get this podcast back up on the air and everything like that.
Well, I compliment you for your contributions.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back into lithomancy because I got a couple of questions on that. Now, I think
But
you
that
mentioned
helps us
about the
grow.
stones. What kind of stones uh, do you use for? Is there particular stones that you use for reading?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I know less about the mineralogy than most people at stone shows or psychic fairs. What I do know is how to read symbolism. So
Okay.
I don't know what some of these. I mean, I may know the turquoise, and if it's a dark obsidian, I may know that, but I don't know agates and minerals. Like I just look at
Okay.
them purely if they're in. All my stones look different. I choose different colors, and I don't go through a big process of choosing. I've lost a stone or two. Some have cracked. I just kind of look. Oh, this looks like a good mercury stone. I'll use that
Okay. I
because
didn't know if there was like certain stones that you use, like quartz or amethyst or opaque or whatever.
no, but in my book, I've got a chapter on every stone, and I write down stones that represent this. And I don't necessarily follow that because I got my stones way before I wrote the book. you know,
Yeah.
I've had the same set of stones for almost 40 years, 35 years. Lost one set or a part of a set. So I just grabbed some more stones. But I don't look at it like you have to have a topaz to represent this or a agate to
Okay.
represent this. And that's why in Europe, I could read whatever people put down on the table. I
Okay.
ain't
So
care.
it's just all about how the symbolism is of the stone rather than the stone itself.
It's about you being able to read the symbolism. Read the symbolism. If the sun and the moon, for example, land right next to each other, I see it
Mhm.
similar to a conjunction in astrology. When the sun and the moon are on the same page, your actions, your thoughts, your intentions are all going the same direction.
Mm.
Uh, if Pluto hits Mercury, it means a lot of decisions and techniques about healing and extremes and so forth. So it depends on what the stones are, if they touch, if they point, uh, and no two with a like a deck of tarot cards. There's not an infinite number of patterns that can come
Mm.
up. There's only so many. You got only so many cards.
Yeah.
But there's an infinite number of possibilities about how these stones can land.
Yeah,
They're, they
because there's
they
only
never
certain patterns with the cards. Now,
right.
speaking of cards, is with reading the playing cards, is it the same as reading like the stones?
It's intuition to me, and I'll be honest with you. There's a book right here, Psychic Sciences, right above my head.
Mm.
I bought in 1970 or 71 when I moved here to Austin, Texas, and it's got 8 pages on how to read a regular deck of playing cards. And I read it and I adopted their symbolism just like I adopted my own method of doing this. And the suggestions they gave on what the suits mean and what the numbers mean, close enough for rock and roll, it'll work. I'm not going to over question it. I'm going to let it teach me. So, yeah. And the lady that taught me this, lithomancy, the greatest psychic I've ever known, she'd read regular playing cards too. And
Okay.
she had a slightly different system than I did, but it doesn't matter. If your system works, it works.
Yeah.
Period.
Now, ha- so you pretty much got your start with lithomancy. Was that I'm trying to remember? Was that before or after the near death experience?
It was 1980. The near death experience was 77.
Okay, so
3 years
you
later, I
just
met Alice, went to have the class. She taught me. I started teaching myself in 1980. And yeah, I loved the system when I first saw it. I'd never seen anything like it. I thought, wow, man, I can see what you're doing. You're just looking at these and you know what the stones represent. And because I knew what astrology was. I don't do charts, but I can tell you all about Mercury or Mars or Venus because I
mm,
started studying way back in college what the planets meant. I never got into doing charts, but I got into studying astrology. A lot from Edgar Casey.
yeah,
You
and
know, that's
I've heard of
astrology.
Edgar Casey from uh, listening to Coast to Coast AM. I actually got started doing radio because of the late Art Bell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it just inspired me to do radio, and then I decided that I'm gonna take a break, and I was getting burned out doing 5 days a week with the show and doing the webmastering, the hosting, the booking, all that stuff. Now, thankfully, I got Jamie to help me on that, but I still got to teach
Well,
her
you
some
said the
more.
right thing. You said I took a break. We forget to do that.
Mm.
Sometimes we got to take a break. It's healthy. Sometimes you got to put it aside and come back tomorrow. And you don't have to decide everything in this second. We can't
Mm.
decide for this second that you're going to be satisfied and happy and creative and not worry and let the next second double that. Why not?
Yeah, but I took a break. I said, I've done radio for 10 years. I could keep doing this. Maybe I was starting to lose. I was doing it 5 days a week, so I couldn't keep up with I had pretty much taken all the guests that could get because I was booked for 3 months straight.
Mhm.
Um, at the start of each time I restarted the show, I was booked with guests 3 months straight for 5 days a week. Now, luckily, I'm only doing it once a week, so that way
Mhm.
it gives me a break in between shows. Or no, I'm doing it twice a week. Sorry, once a week with guests, once with just an open discussion.
Well, life happens in cycles, period. And we are part of life. That's why we sleep sometimes and we awake sometimes. So life is going to constantly present us with different cycles. That we ain't going to avoid that. The question is whether we're going to pay attention, learn, grow, take a break, double down, whatever the situation calls for, so to speak. Because we do have the choice to pay attention to ourselves and the situation and ask questions and believe and talk to your guides and get smarter and wiser, or do none of the above. you
Yeah,
know,
and I
let yourself.
notice when we're so busy doing all this, like even tonight, trying to get the show going, I was frustrated. I'm like, I can't think. I'm frustrated. It's like, come on, let me do this. Ah.
That's why you
And
take a break,
it's like you got
take
to
a deep
take
breath.
a deep breath and say, everything will be okay. Just slow down. It'll work
Mhm.
out.
I went through so much depression and anxiety in my 20s. I'm 78 now. Uh, I mean, I cannot describe you the depths of depression. I'm bipolar. I've been extreme my whole life. But since that near death experience in 77, I learned to turn down the extremes and balance and see everything as a win win scenario. Why not? We get to choose that.
Mm.
If we never had curveballs or fell off the horse or missed the target, we'd never learn how to re aim, get back up on the horse. So
Yeah.
even the challenges, coincidences, and curveballs we get in life can be educational, can teach us stuff we
Mm.
don't know. That's why we go through experiences that we didn't expect because life trying to show us something new. But we get to choose whether to participate and grow and evolve or go, this ain't me. Where's the exit? Where's the complaint department?
Yeah. Well, I'm a disabled veteran. I'm almost in my mid 50s. I do suffer from depression and anxiety, but I've learned to work with it a little bit through meditation, through sitting out on the back deck of my house and just listening to the sounds of nature, just
Oh,
taking that
yeah.
moment of deep breath and relaxation.
That's exactly the same thing I do. I go through periods when I don't feel quite as good as I did the day before, but I don't go through the depths of depression I used to, nor mania.
Mm.
I'm not so, I used to be so intense, I'd be off the wall. And I learned how to balance those because I was so fortunate in 1977 to see Infinite Mind and to go, wow, I can tune into this power.
Yeah,
I was a
and
crappy
I
singer.
wish more people could tune into that to help get them to take maybe people listening to the show tonight or watching the show uh will think, okay, maybe I should take a break and just open my eyes to other possibilities, open my eyes to
Bing.
different perspectives.
Amen. Because if we don't, we stay in the default. We have to choose to grow, evolve, upgrade, learn more. Now, life will present us with opportunities to grow, evolve, and learn more by challenges, changes, curveballs. But we decide to either participate or walk away and go, life's screwing me over again. So it's
Yeah,
always
trust
down
me, I
towards.
get that feeling from time to time. It's like, can I take? It's like I take a. I get the feeling that I take a step forward and get pushed back 2 steps. It's like I cannot. Sometimes I feel like that, and then I have to just like walk away and
Mhm.
take a deep breath and relax.
I went through a lot of depression in my 20s because as a musician, I didn't have a good voice and I
Mm.
was an expendable sideman, and that scared me. And in 1977, when I had my near death experience, I saw myself playing piano on cruise ships. I saw myself playing solo, traveling Europe. I couldn't believe it. Is this real? Is this possible? Well, it became possible because I learned to play piano. I learned to be an entertainer instead of worrying about my crappy voice. And I learned to do what I do have. I got a good personality. I can talk. I can entertain people. And I put that to use because I couldn't sing that well, but
Yeah.
it worked. I became a
Well,
solo.
I tried my hand in the music business for country music. Spent 2001 in Nashville trying to break into the country music business as a singer songwriter, but it's a tough business.
Oh,
And if you don't have a band behind you, you don't know how to play an instrument, it's tough in that industry.
do you know in the late 80s to early 90s, I played a guy named Larry Lee in Nashville, $200 a month to submit my songs. And I visit him twice in Nashville, and that's what he does all day long. He goes to studios and goes to these artists and their agents and presents a song. And I got 20, 30 people are interested. Garth Brooks, Randy Travis, Travis Truitt, they're all interested in my songs, but I never got the final cut.
Yeah.
And about 10 years ago, I was asking my guides, how come I never got a cut? I mean, I could have used it. I had people interested in my songs. I just never. And my guides finally told me that, in fact, it was 1993. I was either going to go to Europe, which I did, or go to Nashville and try to get in the songwriting business. Europe
Mm.
seemed like more fun. I went there, and my guides told me about 10 years ago, you did the right thing. Because if you'd have gone to Nashville, you'd have been, you don't fit in. I'm not a cowboy. I don't drive trucks. I'm pretty, very liberal. Don't drink beer. So I wouldn't have fit in Nashville at all. They
Mhm.
spared me from that fate. Isn't
Yeah,
that
well,
interesting?
I mean, for me, I mean, Nashville was kind of a start of the whole push into the whole kind of entertainment business.
Oh,
It's
it's
always entertainment has always been a part of me from trying to get into the music business. Then I went to tech. I went down to San Antonio in 2002 because somebody offered a chance for me to get into the country music business in Texas, which turned out to be false. So it was like something was driving me that direction, but in a different direction at the same time. And I started working for amusement parks, and I always kind of stayed in the entertainment business.
mhm.
And then, of course, 14 years ago, I started the radio show. I started doing talk radio, just one show a week, 30 minutes. And I've always kind of stayed in that, in somewhat of an entertainment business.
Well, since I started playing lead guitar in 1963, listening to a lot of Chuck Berry and Jimmy Reed, Beach Boys, whatever guitar riffs were available here. And of course, the Beatles and the Stones came out, and I played professionally since 63, 64, my whole life in some form or another. Uh, Up till about 10, 12 years ago, I gave it up because I'm tired of lugging the heavy gear. I'm tired of hearing myself. Uh, and it's got to be more and more work rather than fun. I didn't have a
Yeah.
band. It was me carrying all the gear. So I went back
Wow.
into doing my readings. I thought, I'm going to do psychic readings. I'm much better at that than I am singing. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
That's why I do radio because I can just sit here and I can learn new things. I can talk to interesting guests like yourself, and I can put out that information for somebody else to learn about this new thing.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to be offering courses in lithomancy. If any of your listeners are interested, email me at GW@GARYWIMMER.com, GW@GaryWimmer.com. If you want a reading or if you're interested in my course, because I'm going to teach a course online, probably get about 8 or 10 people per meeting so we can not have too many and not have too much confusion. But not many people know about this art,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
I
very
will have
unique.
I'll have all this information up on the Talking the Night website, talkingthenight.com website. either tonight or tomorrow sometime, so that way people can check it out and email if they want to go that route.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate you having me on your show.
Oh, so far it's been great. Now I got a couple of questions because we've been squirreling all over the places. Like I said, a lot of times questions just come to me. I don't. I have a list of questions that I ask for the guests, but I also go off of what the guest is saying, and I can end up asking other questions that I didn't even think about.
Shoot, brother.
All right. So, what is the power of lithomancy? Because I know it's on your website.
I look at it in a lot of different levels. The ability to, of course, do readings, the ability to enhance your ability to understand symbolism and see things in terms of symbolism. I do that all the time. I talk to my guides all the time.
Mm,
They don't call me on the phone. They don't whisper in my ear. They talk to me through symbols, feelings, patterns, confirmation, you know, verification, these sort of things we get. That's how our guides talk to us. And when I do a reading, I feel the same thing. My guides are talking to me. But in fact, before I do a reading, I take my regular deck of bicycle playing cards I've had for 20 years. They're all kind of crumbled and bent, but they got a lot of feel in them.
yeah,
And I'll
you
cut
got
them and
that
shuffle them.
energy tool.
Yeah, I'll cut them and shuffle them and always ask my guides if they're with me. And they always say yes in different way, different patterns. But I do that to connect the dots, to connect the line, to make sure the uh, the connection's good. You know, uh, like I said, they always confirm it to me, but they do it in unique ways.
Okay. Looks like we might have a question. Hold on. Let me uh, pull up something here. Let's see. All right. So let's see. So we had a question, and I'm gonna say no on that. Asking can we do a live reading, and we have only about 15 minutes left, and uh, I don't know about you, but I know like when I used to do readings, it's I don't need the person here, but it just makes it more easier to do the reading when I got that energy right next to me.
I do most of them over the phone, but on a practical level, uh, if I was doing a reading, I have to put my table on my lap, put my stones and everything on there, do it here, and then nobody could see it, so I'd have to have two
Yeah,
webcams. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, that's why I don't. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't like to do readings over the air, just because it doesn't. Especially like me, with my abilities, I've done readings outside of a shopping mall, and you know how many people go to or used to go to shopping malls, and all the energy that all the spirits that are surrounding other people, once they see that light that you put off of, like I put off a huge light that says, "Hey, he can see us. He can talk to the people for us," and they just cram and circle you.
Well, I encourage all people to believe that they can tap into that energy, because if you believe you can tap into it, you're going to have a better chance of doing so. Just like if you're playing baseball and you get up with a big bat and a big attitude, and you
Mm,
believe you can knock the ball out of the park, and that's exactly what you're going to do, you're going to hit more home runs. You're not going
yeah,
to hit everyone, but you're going to hit more. So, attitude and
mm,
intention and taking proactive steps to learn, to grow, to evolve, whether it's in your own head, your own heart, your own mind, talking to your guides, making it a better world, doesn't matter.
yeah,
We get to choose. We're going to be proactive and good and make good things happen or not. It's almost
yeah.
that black and white.
Yeah, it's
And
that free
we all
will.
go up.
It's that And like you mentioned at the start of the show, that everything happened. I believe everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
There's no coincidence. There's something.
None. No, everything's cause and effect. Something made it happen,
Yeah.
including us being here. That's not an accident, you know. Even quantum physicists,
Mm,
when they talk about quantum physics, they talk about random quantum fluctuations at the beginning. They put a bunch of galaxies here and empty space here and other galaxies here. Okay,
mm,
that's the way the galaxies are, but I don't think it was random. I
yeah.
think it was infinite mind going, hey, let's create a bunch of galaxies. Bam, done.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, it's something that we probably will never know, or at least not while we're here in this physical form that we're in right now.
We can tap into higher levels, though. I certainly did. You certainly have. Einstein did. Mother Teresa did. People do. But yeah, we're still going to have to, sleep and eat and then live a normal life and deal with the ups and downs and traffic.
Yeah, well, like
That's
I
part
said,
of the deal.
there's probably some of those higher levels that we are, while we're in this physical plane that we're in right now, that we cannot even tap into, even with my abilities, with your abilities,
Yeah,
we
right,
probably
right,
can't
right.
tap into those higher levels until we're on that side.
I would have never thought about seeing my guides, having this experience, or any of that had it not happened to me. My guides revealed themselves to me out of kindness of their hearts, I guess you could say. Uh, and they saved me from getting hurt and took me to heaven and back. And, I had to go through psychiatric hospitals and police and courts and all family and all this
Mm.
sort of stuff back then. But the trip was worth it. If I had to go through it again, I'd go through anything to go what I went through to experience that, to see infinite mind, infinite love, infinite creativity. And I encourage everybody to believe in it because it's real. We've all felt it.
Yeah, and it's
Believe
like
it.
I said
Tap
earlier
into
in
it.
the show, like that ability is there, that everybody has the ability. It's just most of the
Absolutely.
time it's locked away in the deepest part of the subconscious, and you just have to learn how to push that to the forefront.
You choose to grow and evolve. You choose to change the oil on your car. You don't have to, but if you don't, it'll burn up. So choose to
Yeah,
change, choose to evolve, choose to grow, learn, choose to see everything in life as
yeah,
something it can teach you, how it can show you, how it can help you grow and evolve. No curveballs, no growth.
yeah.
you know,
Now, what is the accuracy like for reading stones?
I get
Is it
very
depend vary on different readings or?
oh completely. There's some people I do pretty much the same thing every time. I look at the stones and talk to my guides. There's some people that think I should be able to make all their decisions for them or tell them everything. If I could tell everything, I'd have already won the damn lottery
Yeah, I know that feeling.
several times over. So, yeah, but what I tend to see is what someone's going through now, why. And I don't ask a bunch of questions when I do a reading. I like to just dive in and say what I see and then get feedback and I can kind of connect the dots, fill in the blanks. But no, uh, 99% of the people I've done readings for are very pleased, happy. There's 1% sometimes is dissatisfied, and I just think, okay, well, return your
Yeah,
money
well,
and just don't
there's
be a
gonna be
reader.
people like that. Trust me, I've
In
had
fact,
people.
sometimes I can feel on the phone when I first start talking to someone, oop, this is going to be difficult. I can feel this brick wall attitude of skepticism,
Mhm.
you know. Well, it's not helping you grow and evolve.
Well, I spent 30 years in the paranormal field before I retired, doing ghost hunting and stuff like that. And I was I always like to go into a location with uh, a little bit of skepticism. A little bit of skepticism is healthy, but you don't want to be too much of it because skepticism in the paranormal field can help you. Say you're at a location, you hear something in the wall. Well, that doesn't mean it's always going to be spirit there. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be possibly an animal, a pipe in the wall, or something like that. So you have to have that little bit of skepticism, but don't let
Of
it
course you
ruin
do.
the whole thing.
You got to have the skepticism. Someone knocking on your door going to do your roof. I get them all the time. I'll say, I'm busy. Do you have a card? No, no card. Well, don't even come talk to me, man. I'm not going to decide right now and pay you. Give me a card.
Yeah.
So it's good to be skeptical because, and it doesn't mean you don't trust. It means you want to, make sure the dots connect. you
Hmm.
know,
No,
it's
we're
healthy.
almost out of time here. No, one last question before we get ready to get out of here. But is when you read playing cards, is it kind of almost the same? And how do you go about reading the cards? Is there like a pattern that you use?
No, it's actually, I was going to say, it's a pretty broken pattern. It's pretty random. I get my deck of cards in my hands and I cut them and shuffle them and kind of spread the deck and see which cards jump out. Uh, I kind of do it differently every time uh, because the cards I kind of read in a different way. The stones I read in a way that's very where they're placed and so forth, and they're all there at once. When I use the cards, I'm kind of shuffling cards, looking back and forth, look at the cards next to it. Uh, Jokers bring power to the cards next to it. If I see a joker next to a king of hearts, it's probably saying this person who's the king of hearts is going through a bunch of change and growth. You know, if
Hmm.
I see a two of diamonds, it represents a partnership, a relationship, probably best rested on money, on value, on worth. If it's a six of clubs, someone's having to learn a whole lot about their commitment to friendship and themselves. So the numbers, the patterns, yeah, they do mean something. But as far as laying them out like a tarot card or having a specific, no, I let the randomness of life teach me right there. Right now, someone else may think that's a completely stupid system, but it
Hmm.
works for me.
It
So
works.
that's all.
That's
I'm
all
not
that
trying to.
matters. It works.
It works. If it works, I'm not going to question it too much because
All
I'm
right,
not going to
so
try and figure it out.
we're about 5 minutes, 4 minutes till the end of the show. So tell people where they can find out more about you and your books. Again, let me show these on camera for the people watching. Uh, Lithomancy, The Art of Reading Stones, and his other book that he's generously sent me, uh, the Second in an Eternity, which we will do something to where you, the listeners, viewers, can have a chance to win those books. But where can they find out more about you and those books?
The books they can go to Amazon or Kindle. Just Google when you go to either one, or you can put the title in. You'll probably get it. So, Lithomancy: The Psychic Art of Reading Stones. If you put in that into Google, you'll find my book. Or you can go to Amazon or Kindle. Same with The Second in Eternity. If you put that in a search engine, you'll probably find my book, and you'll definitely find it if you go to Amazon and Kindle. And as far as contacting me, the best thing to do is email me, GW at GARYWIMMER.com. GW at GaryWimmer.com. Uh, I will respond pretty quickly with my schedule, my time. If you're interested in the lithomancy class, I'm just now starting to set it up. Uh, Probably end of July, early August. May do several courses. Depends on how much interest I get. But
Okay, and that's
that's how to
how
get in
people
touch with
can
me, folks.
contact you for a reading or that
Right.
group. Okay,
Email me. It's always better because I never answer my phone because I'm on the phone a lot, uh, and I'm usually busy. So don't try to reach me by phone. Email me. Email me your name and your telephone number, and I'll get back with you. And we'll set up a time. And I do it pretty quickly too. When people write me, I get back as soon as I get the email. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 6 hours, but I don't wait 2 weeks to get back with someone.
yeah. All right. Well, we are almost out of time. I got a couple of announcements to do before we head out. But I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your experience, telling people about lithomancy and the art of reading stones, and of course your near death experience and everything like that.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one. God bless you and team and keep up your energy. And like you said, give yourself a break. Okay.
Yeah. All right. You have a good night. And for
Okay,
those
then.
still here, if you are enjoying Talking Tonight, why not take a piece of the show with you? Visit talkingtonight.com, click more, and then click Talking Tonight merch store. Uh, we have t-shirts, coffee mugs, small caps. I'll add more products eventually. Your support helps keep the conversation going. And if you want to put your business out in front of the listeners, passionate late night audience for Talking Tonight, then we are now welcoming advertisers and sponsors for the show. Reach listeners interested in the topics discussed on the show. Visit talkingtonight.com to learn more or contact us today. Grow your business with Talking Tonight. Until the next show, I shall see you on the dark side. Good night from Talking Tonight.